Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I really have no words that could fully articulate uh, how profoundly grateful I am to our next speaker. And she is with us here, Zooming in. I want to introduce TAARINI KAUR, who is an investor, founder, and managing partner of Brave14 Capital. And that's not all. She is an advocate for women's issues. I'm going to turn it over to you now, Trini. Thank you for encore speaking, and go ahead and share your screen.
Sure, yeah. Thank you so much, Molly, for the introduction, for everything. Today I'm going to be talking about how venture capital can narrow the tech gender gap. So if you look at the definition of venture capital, it's a type of financing that's provided by firms or funds to small, early-stage emerging firms that are deemed to have high growth potential or have demonstrated high growth. Now, in this definition, all I see is a big dollar sign. It's not inclusive of other factors. There's no mention of diversity, no mention of ethics. Now, the impact that venture capital has is tremendous. 43% of publicly traded companies in the United States alone are venture capital backed. Now, as I mentioned before, the definition of venture capital is it inclusive of all other factors? I'm gonna deter from this for a second and just talk about my story a little bit. When growing up in the Silicon Valley, I was influenced by both my parents. They are in the tech industry, and I would hear their stories in the dining table and be inspired by the amazing world of entrepreneurship. I started an entrepreneurship club in my school when I was in 8th grade, and I learned that kids learn in a step-by-step process. This is what led me to writing my book, The Young Aspiring Entrepreneur. It talks about the age, social, and gender biases I faced when becoming an entrepreneur, and it guides you on how to overcome them. And since kids learn in a step-by-step process, I discuss the problems and steps that you have to overcome to become an entrepreneur. I'm very fortunate to have quotes for my book received from Ray Lane, an extremely important mentor in my life. He's the managing partner of Great Point Ventures and the ex-CEO and president of Oracle, a Stanford professor, Mr. Easley, the chief diversity and inclusion officer, Barbara, Pradeep Khosla, Venk Shukla, and an amazing author, Linda Swinburne. Oh, sorry. Now, how do you evaluate whether a business is good enough to invest? I created this simple formula for my classmates to understand as well. Entrepreneurship score is equal to the wealth created times the impact times customers times ethics. This way, all of these factors are directly proportional to the entrepreneurship score. So you can't have one factor that is down, and that will kind of cause the entire score to go down. Wealth as in the revenue, the impact number of jobs, the customers, and the ethics, such as any allegation of discrimination, diversity, pay gap, etc. Now, why is diversity important for startups? So the startup customer base is diverse for most companies. The customer base is not directed to a certain gender or ethnicity or race, right? According to Forbes, MIT's Center for Collective Intelligence, they have discovered that the more number of women on
You
a
have, I CC'd you. Oh, hang on one second.
Molly, please
Yeah.
unmute.
Oh,
Mute.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the more women on a decision-making team, the better the decision outcomes. When it comes to team performance, the more women, the better. A study by the Credit Suisse Research Institute found that companies with at least one woman on the board outperformed companies with no women on the board by 26%. So if you want your startup to start making bank, it's clear to have a gender-balanced workplace. It's the key to successful startup. So it's not about, so it's not like women need you. It's about you need them, technically, from what I showed. It's not about women acting like men. It's about women acting like women and being successful. Now, in 2018, the funding for female founders stalled at 2.2% of venture capital dollars in 2018. Now, in 2019, it didn't change much. It was from 2.2% to 2.7%. So it's far from equal. The proportion of global startups with a female founder on first funding has improved from 10% in 2009 to 20% in 2019. However, if you look at the top best performing CEOs in something like the fashion industry, where you would expect the customer base is mostly female, they're all male. And only 11.2% of C-suite executives in public companies are female. More women have become executives, but in supportive roles. The share of jobs with profit and loss responsibilities, like the ones that are considered stepping stones to becoming the CEO, have been flat. The number of companies with at least one female founder that have passed the valuation of $1 billion, as you can see, is 21 in 2019. This graph sort of reminds me of, well, evolution. Women are starting to become equivalent to their male counterparts, however, far from equal. Now, according to the World Economic Forum, it projects that at the current rate of progress, it'll take 208 years to reach gender equality in the United States alone. So, and Melinda Gates has pledged a huge $1 billion to furthering gender equality and building the power and influence of women across the United States in 2019. I really agree with her role, Steve, because equality cannot wait. Now, how can venture capital solve the tech gender gap? Venture capital funds new ideas. So if you fund companies with women in C-suite roles, you empower them to prove their strengths, show their capabilities, make their mark on the world, and illuminate the path for other women. We need more female venture capitalists to accelerate the evolution of funding women-led startups. Venture capital impact, it scales across several startups. And till date, the majority of venture capital firms still have no female investor. Last year, 52 women became partners or general partners for the first time at United States venture capital firms, with more than $25 million in assets under management. This represents a 37% increase from 2018's figure of 38. But nonetheless, 65% of venture capital firms still have 0 female partners or general partners, and a lack of diversity is still evident. Of the 52 women mentioned above, only one identifies as African American, and none identify as Latinx. Now, walking the talk myself a bit about my story. When I was 12, my friend Komal Dikshit and I created an online community for women on Instagram called Classy Women. We bonded over a similar goal of empowering women globally. We reached 620,000 plus followers within 2 years, spanning over 10 countries. The sort of examples of common questions I answer on Classy Women are, which career should I choose? I'm interested in so-and-so. Or it could be, my parents aren't letting me continue my education. They want me to get married. Or something like, my significant other is beating me. How do I leave him? As you can see, these problems range from something simple to something much more serious. What am I doing to reduce the tech gender gap? I have been fortunate enough to raise an $860,000 venture capital fund called Brave14 Capital, where I will also invest in women-founded technology companies in AI, blockchain, etc. I'm very grateful to my LPs to do this. Having more women venture capitalists, having that having more women venture capital role models has influenced me to create my own fund. And what I'm interested in is investing in people. And the reason I want to say this quote is, age doesn't matter. As Warren Buffett said, I made my first investment at age 11. I was wasting my life up until then. So the takeaways from my talk are, it's important to speak up and voice the story, and venture capital has a tremendous social and economic impact, and I suggest women, more teenagers, to consider it as a career option to close the tech gender gap. And of course, age doesn't matter in venture capital and entrepreneurship. Thank you so much.
Trini, that was magnificent. Thank you. Thank you for putting this all in context for us and really putting it out there. Thank you at age 11, diving into this early. And like you said, age does not matter. Look at all that you've accomplished. And I think you stand as a testament and role model to not just women, but to all of us out there to take action and do things and help the world. We have a few questions that have come in. The first one is one that you may have gotten before. People want to know what drives you. I mean, you started quite young doing this. What drives you is how the question came in.
So, for example, as I mentioned previously, the World Economic Forum projects that it would take over 200 years to reach gender equality. And I think that knowing that information specifically drives me because it tells me that I have a lot more work to do, a lot more to accomplish, a lot more people to inspire to work harder. So we could close that soon. I think that's the thing that drives me.
That's great. What are your predictions as a young person, I guess what we would call Generation Z, for the market outlook for both receiving and getting investments?
As in, so in general, or?
Yes, in general.
So, I mean, currently the situation we're in COVID, a lot of venture capitalists have, I guess, stopped investing during this time. But in the future, I think like the market is going to change accordingly. People will start, being more online. So Zoom, for example, the stock has reached amounts. So I think after this situation, the market is going to change a little. It'll probably, after the COVID situation and the lockdown is over, it'll rise up. However, it'll be different. That's my opinion.
People are also curious what your thoughts are about blockchain and cryptocurrencies as it relates to investing.
So to be honest, my fund is more focused on artificial intelligence, and personally, I think that it's a more scalable and growing market than blockchain. However, yeah, that's my opinion on it.
Yes, and a follow-up to that, since you mentioned artificial intelligence and you gave us some good overview in your talk, and this is AI Showbiz. What are the things going forward about artificial intelligence? Can you say some more about that, which make you excited about it and where you see that going?
I'm interested in AI for social good specifically. I think that the beauty about AI is it can affect so many people. It's easy to scale. And if you're able to use that for social good while producing your profit, then I think you've hit a jackpot. I think that's the kind of areas I'm looking for AI for social good.
Today is the kickoff of our Pitch Fest, and people like yourself will be judging the entrants. We have 14 finalists. What advice do you give them or anyone who stands up to pitch to someone like yourself for an investment? What is it you're looking for? And as they get ready for their 3 minutes, they just have 3 minutes today to do their elevator pitch.
I would say have a drive for your product. If you show that you're really passionate about it, if you show that you're really willing as an entrepreneur to bring it forward, to really bring it to the world, then I think I would definitely be interested in talking to you.
Great, yes, and drilling down on that a little bit, since you are about tech for good, the theme of AI Showbiz Summit, what do you see as some of the most important humanitarian causes that excite you from an investment outlook? What is getting you excited at this moment in general? I know a lot of this is confidential, who you may be talking to, but in general, what kind of tech for good products out there are in services and causes are really exciting you at this moment?
Well, not necessarily tech. Well, tech for good as well. Well, a company that I was looking at recently, it's called Andela, and the founder is Christina Sass. She raised from Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. Her story was really interesting. She teaches people in Africa to become software engineers and trains them there and brings them here. and brings them to America or overseas. And since software engineering is in demand, for example, they get jobs easily. The reason I liked hers was her company was because it's for social good. However, you're helping them, and it's changing their lives as well as making a profit. I think that's pretty amazing how she was able to do that.
I love that you shared a specific example and going to women. Yannicka and I are two women running a tech community, if you will. So you are all about women, and I was really interested too to hear that. I mean, everything from domestic violence to other gender equality. We as women are facing such a broad range of issues. So here's my question. I wanted to put it in context. Yannicka and I talk about this a lot. There's still not that many women going into technology. It has gotten better. And Yannicka and I want to be, like you, people that enable, that facilitate more young women, even as children, getting into all of this, because we're just as capable. What could Yannicka and I be doing, or what could we continue to do? Because we believe in your cause so strongly. We want to, I think Yannicka would agree, we talk about this all the time. We want more women in all these arenas, especially as it relates to artificial intelligence.
So I think it all starts at a young age. If you're able to help younger girls, teenage girls, or younger than that even, if you're able to do events for them or something, or workshop, if you're able to get them interested, then you've probably hit the jackpot in that sense. Yeah.
That is such a good idea. I'm taking notes, Yannicka. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Our events tend to be for 18 and older, although you're one of our most, if not the most prominent speakers. So, and finally, I know you were acknowledged by India at such a young age, and I'd like to hear. I mean, I understand there's many people are entrepreneurial in India. Some of our top entrepreneurs come from there. Our earlier speaker was Indian. And what what is the state of things in India? How is it going for women in particular there? And is there something that Yannicka geographically and I can focus on to help women there in India that may be customized?
So, for example, it depends. In the rural areas, it's definitely they're more traditional in that sense. So their thinking is a bit backward. However, like in the cities, it's probably how it is over here. I think to help women in India, I think you could go online if you search on Instagram and stuff. There are several Indian women who would be happy to talk to you and just even tell their story. And yeah, I mean, to help those women, I think they need encouragement that they can also a lot of them also don't realize their potential. They don't know that what they're capable of doing. I think if you're able to help them realize that, then that's great.
Thank
And a lot of them, or they know their potential and they're kind of restricted by their family and I guess honor and traditional thinking. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, final question, and it's one we ask most of our speakers. What advice do you have for us as we continue forward in this time? Final advice, you gave a lot of good information in your talk and questions, but any final words of wisdom or inspiration to leave us with?
I think, well, this is definitely a very unusual, different, and tough time. However, it's about what you make out of it. You might not be as productive as you were before the time. However, I think forgiving yourself, and I guess every day is something new. If you're able to push yourself more every day, then if you're able to better yourself in this time, then that's the best thing that there is.
Thank you so much, Tarini. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to let you get back to your very busy schedule. Your talk wasn't it amazing, Yannicka? It was so inspirational. that we thank you for your time and being here with us, and we wish you well. And please let Yannicka and I know what we can specifically do to help you at any time. And I'll be introducing as I do as the connector.